Hello everyone and welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm your host Nate Kingston, and as per usual, I'm joined with my fellow panelist. The man that's on top of everything news, we have Amir Keasley over to my left, and our Sports Talk graphics master, Casey Irwine, over to my right. Now today we are covering all things WNBA and NFL football, and we have a great show for you, so stay tuned right here. To start things off, the WNBA playoffs are underway with many teams pushing for a chance at that title, although there are a select few that have already making their way to the final game. So, which team is slam dunking their way to take home the WNBA championship? Amir, what do we got?
Nate, the team I'm going with to slam dunk this championship is going to be the Minnesota Lynx. First off, they have proved the league wrong. They came into the year feeling like they weren't going to be the best, but they have proved the league wrong. They were 8-2 in the last 10 games of the season, and Nafisha Collier has been excellent this year, as she has been since she came into the league. She has been a force to be reckoned with in the paint, and she even has a great three ball. It is amazing to see how she plays, and you can't forget about the great Kayla McBride. She has stepped up huge in the last few games, and the only thing that I would say that Minnesota lacks is defense. They need to be more balanced in the way they play the game, and I feel like if they continue to do what they did when they played the Mercury last night, they'll be pretty good.
No, I think it's a good choice. I think they're really the only team with how their hot streak going, without Collier's playing. She just had 36-point game. I think they're the only team that worries my team, but I don't think it's going to really be that much a challenge. The New York Liberty, #1 seed, and that's for a reason. Okay, best record in the league. You look at it, the dynamic three: Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones. Two of them have won MVP, Jones and Stewart, okay? And that's within the last 4 years. And then last night, Ionescu, huge star in the league. And last night, 36 points, okay? It's with those three at the top, you've seen it this season, the Liberty, They have been absolutely electric, those three. And the rest of the team doesn't even get similar minutes. The only one that really does is Lainey Hamilton, and she's great in her more defensive role player type of role, almost looking at a J. Rue Holiday type of role if you go across over to the NBA. And so you look at that overall superpower, I don't see how anyone can beat them in a series. The Aces, they're about to play them, again in the semifinals, and all their matchups this season, Liberty have won against the Aces. So I think they'll cruise in the finals. They'll probably play the Lynx, but I don't think Collier by herself is enough to beat these three in the finals.
Hey, and I'm right on top of you with that. Unfortunately, I have to go with the Las Vegas Aces. I mean, these ladies, they are really putting in the work, putting in the paint. First off, right now they're 27-12. They beat Seattle last night and really just keep pushing their way on. Now I know that may be the homer pick or the pick that some people are going to say, oh, these ladies have won the championship a couple years in the past. And you have Ajayi Wilson right there. She won the Finals MVP last year. And, I think they're just really going to push on through, going for their third straight title.
Yeah, Wilson had maybe the greatest season ever this season in the WNBA. So I can see if they make a run, it's going to be just because she is on her A game. And that's what she probably has to be on her S tier game.
Oh, no doubt.
If they want to win once again.
Yep, I can't agree more. And as you can see, none of us picked the Indiana Fever, unfortunately. But let's go and continue with the WNBA. Star rookie Caitlin Clark is already proving why she is a factor on the team of the Indiana Fever. She has already won the Rookie of the Year. So, Casey, what is Caitlin Clark's limit, especially in the playoffs?
I think it'll be an answer that I'll be able to answer better after tonight. They play Game 2 against Connecticut tonight. In the first game, she shot 4-17, only had 11 points. And you even go back to her Iowa days. In the later stages of March Madness, she just wasn't there when she could have been. You expect her, if she's this superstar, game changer, the whole scenery changer for women's basketball. You expect her in these huge moments to at least be dropping 25 and 10. But she just didn't do that, and she hasn't been doing that. So, mattering how it goes tonight, if she has another bad game tonight and they get killed again, I don't want to start calling her the future Chris Paul of the WNBA. But it may be something within that realm, because you would look at her as one of the best passers the league has ever seen. Dynamic shooting, more dynamic than Chris Paul. But then you look at the postseason, and it all falls apart. And so that's the type of legacy where, for a lot of players in any sport, they'll be hyped, they'll be renowned. But if their postseason performances aren't there, like Caitlin Clark's haven't been, then their limit is only so far.
Casey, I'm going to have to stop you there. I don't like the Chris Paul slander at all, if I'm being completely honest with you. We don't mess around with Chris Paul. Scott Foster has screwed him over countless times. But I just want to talk about Caitlin Clark in the playoffs, as we have mentioned. The thing I feel like, she needs to get accustomed to playing in the WNBA. She has not had too much of a good time, I'd say. She's been getting knocked around. I know she's had some beef with Diana Taurasi. And I feel like once she gets accustomed to the league and she gets comfortable with the play, I feel like she will be good, and I think we'll start calling her Playoff C.
Playoff C.
Playoff C.
You're dropping a new nickname right now.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If she is able, okay, they're down this series. They didn't have a good game. She didn't have a good game. If she is able to shine tonight and take this to Game 3 back home, okay, that's a whole nother conversation of why they don't have a home game tonight. But if she's able to shine tonight and she can even win this series in these next 2 games, then I completely flip of where I'm going on her potential. But that's a conversation for the future. But for now, I'm a bit sketchy.
Yeah, no, I can agree with both of you guys here. Going from the present to the future, the WNBA has announced new team expansions to the cities of Portland, San Francisco, and Toronto to expand the league. So, after these 3 cities, where do you want to see the next WNBA team? Amir, what do we got?
We're taking it to the cross-state city of Philly.
Philly.
Come on. Philly. But first off, I want to say Philadelphia is a great basketball market. You had the 76ers.
Yeah, that picture right there looks like a great market. I'll tell you that.
Well,
that
you know
looks
what?
great.
We'll
All
talk
the
to the
basketball fans
producer
will be coming
about
out
that.
to over there.
We'll
right
talk
there.
to the producer about that. But let me talk. They're the home of the great Dawn Staley, the greatest coach in South Carolina's history. We have so much basketball talent that comes from Philly. Dawn Staley, Natasha Cloud, and Kalia Copper. 3 great ball players that came from that city. And now let me tell you what. This team, the city, it's one of the biggest markets in the country for sports, and it has no WNBA team. I find that to be disrespectful. And let me tell you what. The 76ers may be getting a new stadium called 76 Place. Now, if this happens, I feel like this could be a prime place for a WNBA team to play at in Philadelphia.
I have to completely disagree
Of
with
course you do.
for both where you're at and then go on the other end of the spectrum, because the next WNBA team should be right here in the Burgh, okay? It is the perfect location. You look at it, it's already underway, okay? It's not, it's not even being prophesized. It is underway. The Sports and Exhibition Authority for Pittsburgh approved up to a $40,000 for a consulting firm to look into this idea, and they're going to look at their findings, and they're already in the stage of going to present their findings to the WNBA to have a team here. It's going to look at the cost of operating team. It's going to look at the revenues. And let me tell you, that revenue, it's going to be sky high. Pittsburgh has been dying for a professional basketball team for decades. You look at what Pitt basketball number does. It's crazy numbers. They sell out every season. And you look with, if you talk about maybe it's not as big or of a city, they're already, Pittsburgh's an evolving market in itself. It's getting so many new things, especially in preparation for the 2026 NFL draft. This city is going to have so much expansion where that market, it's going to be huge. And so there's going to be a prime territory of fans here that will look for basketball, and WNBA, it's going to be here, okay? And I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to be here. WNBA team's going to be here in Pittsburgh before Joel Embiid gets to the conference
Pittsburgh
finals.
is not a basketball city, Casey.
It's not going to be, and unfortunately, they still don't have an NBA team. I had picked Boston just because of the Celtics and that winning there and that winning culture there. I know, Jason Tatum and the Celtics, I know, but I think it's a good market. Anyway, moving on over to the NBA, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, I just said that wrong, also known as the Woj, is retiring from NBA reporting. Over the years, he has had many Woj bombs. So, Casey, what do you think the best Woj bomb is?
My personal favorite, I was up for it. It was at 2 a.m. The bombshell. Paul George to the Clippers, and following up was Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers. That was absolutely insane, and it showed his career in a sense right there. Breaking some of the biggest news of the whole decade right there. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers in the same night at 2 a.m. Wild. Absolutely wild.
And now, Casey, I agree. That was a pretty good Woj bomb. But I'm going to go with the probably most infamous one, but yet the beginning of the end. When the NBA shut down. Rudy Gobert shouldn't have touched those mics that day.
No, he shouldn't.
Once the Jazz started to get COVID, that's when we started to realize the league is going towards an end. And unfortunately, 2020, the league shut down due to COVID. And I feel like this Woj bomb was probably one of the best, but yet sad, because during this time, I was very sad.
The Woj bomb that
basketball.
started a global pandemic. Isn't it crazy?
Ain't that something?
Yes, now the Woj bomb I have is actually the Chris Paul trade that never actually happened. And like I said, here he is here, Chris Paul. He was actually going to go to the Lakers, and then it was all rumors and this, that, and the other. But he predicted that it wasn't true. It never was going to happen. All these rumors were not going to happen. End up going to the Lakers.
And you know what else is never going to happen? Chris Paul's never going to win a championship.
He
Is that right?
He probably
Isn't that
won't.
right?
He probably won't.
And he never would have if that trade even happened. So I'm just going to say that.
Hey, Scott Foster's the reason why he's never won a ring.
Hey. All right, now, coming up, I will be joined by two more panelists, and we will be getting into some NFL debates and my best scoop of the week. So stay right here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Love.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Joining with me now are the up-and-coming color commentator Joey Jemaresik and one of our freshman football analysts, Caden Hyde. So let's get right back into it. After week 3 in the NFL, many teams are proving themselves as contenders or pretenders. So focusing on just the Pittsburgh Steelers, after their week 3 performance, did they prove that they are not pretenders? Caden.
I still am not sure what the Steelers are trying to be. I don't know if they are a Super Bowl contender in the way that they drag literally any opponent down to their level to play the tough, the gritty, the hard-nosed football, the 16-14 final score type of games. At the same time, we've seen over the last couple of years that doesn't work against the truly elite teams of the league. Like we saw last year in the game against Buffalo, where we lost, I believe it was 37-3, and of course the wild card game against the Chiefs and Ben Roethlisberger's final game, lost by a final score 42-21. It's just I need to see this team against a truly Super Bowl contender, like a Chiefs, like a Ravens, like a Bills, like a 49ers, to really gauge how far they can make it into January.
Now, I think this actually has proven that they aren't pretenders, and because they're starting the season off right. 3-0. They have a good quarterback in Justin Fields, who I think Chicago should have kept him. I think he's showing them right now that they should have never left him. And if he gets hurt, you have Russell Wilson, who I think is like a decent quarterback to lead a team that has a good defense with the Steelers, and going back with their defense, T.J. Watt, the focal point, probably the defensive player of the year right now, who I'd vote for.
Of course, I would.
And he probably could have been last year. He has 3 sacks so far, and they have a good run game right now. Najee Harris had 209 yards so far.
Although I am kind of concerned about Najee Harris. He is averaging under 4 yards per carry, and especially for a guy that's as big and strong as him. That's been a worrisome fact throughout his entire career. But
yeah, that is fair, but I think if you,
Hey, I understand, guys. It's a hard question. That's why we have him on here. But I agree with both of you in a sense, because I think this week really proved Justin Fields in a way. This might have been one of his best career games, especially as a starter and on a new team, that is. Now, I think that obviously I'd love to see the actual offense go against a real defense more than just the Atlanta Falcons. Just they have a good front seven, and their defensive backs may be good, but we had a pretty good game against them. And I know all the scoring points came from Chris Boswell in that game. Now, moving on to this past week against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers, obviously they had injuries there.
Yeah, of course,
Herbert
Joe Walt was out, Herbert was out.
Exactly.
Nick Bosa was banged up.
And of course, even on our side of the ball, or the Steelers side of the ball, I should say, on their defense, they had Nick Herbig come in. He had 2 giant sacks. They were massive in that game, especially after Alex Highsmith getting hurt. So I think it's going to be a really good decision, especially these upcoming weeks, to see what defenses they can go against.
And what I want to add too to that, the offense looked pretty good. You have Calvin Austin with a 55-yarder, and Justin Fields kind of proving himself, like I said earlier, not just having the kicker score all the points as I did against the Falcons. And I think now that this offense might be able to now open up here as we go out the rest of the season.
Yeah, very good take, Skill. All right, staying with the AFC North. This division has made NFL fans surprised with the Bengals and the Ravens near the bottom and the Steelers at the top. So staying with Cincinnati Bengals, is it time for them to hit the panic button starting 0-3? Joey, what do we got?
No, they do this every year. They always start off bad, and all these questions is Joe Burrow for real? Is the team going to do good? Are they going to do bad? No, they're not. They do not need to panic yet. Sure, they're one of the 3 teams in the NFL that are 0-3, and statistically, in the history, 4 of 162 teams that have started 0-3 have made it to the playoffs. But their schedule is pretty easy. They have the 3rd easiest schedule throughout the rest of the way. They have the Panthers, who are not good. The Giants, who, even though they got a win this week, I don't think they're that good. The Raiders, obviously the Titans, and then even now the Browns and Broncos so far. But I think their schedule could help them make a push towards the playoffs towards the end of the season. And I believe in Joe Burrow. He's a top 15 quarterback in my opinion. And with a receiver that they have at Jamar Chase, I think that the play of Chase and Burrow is going to decide this team, and how could this defense kind of complement that. But I don't think they need to panic yet.
And sort of piggybacking off of what you said, Joey, about this Burrow to Chase connection, I believe the Bengals might be in a bit for a rough run this year, mainly because of this big cloud hanging over the organization in the form of the Jamar Chase extension. How he said he lost faith in the franchise, how there's going to be no deal anytime soon. And of course, last week, him getting into a verbal altercation with Zach Taylor that Joe Burrow himself had to break up. Just the big story about the Bengals this year is going to be that contract. It's going to be nothing else, no matter how good they do. Unless they win the Super Bowl, the big story is going to be what is Jamar Chase going to do this offseason. And in that way, the drama surrounding the team and them not having to focus on this one aspect instead of the game on the field, it gives me shades of the final year of the Killer Bees in Pittsburgh in 2018, where there was all the drama regarding the Le'Veon Bell extension, Antonio Brown going crazy, and that team ended up not making the playoffs. I believe they went 9-7-1. So I just believe that this Bengals team, unless they can get something figured out, some way to make Jamar Chase happy and make him want to be a part of this team and work with Joe Burrow, as well as them not losing to teams like the Patriots, I believe this team could be something. But until that happens, I don't believe in them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you here, Caden. It's a lot of factors here. Obviously, you have the off-the-field issues and as well as the on-the-field issues. That offensive line for the Bengals is struggling. And they're
especially with Trent Brown now being out for the year.
Exactly. They do have a younger offensive line. They do have some pieces they're trying to fill, just like other teams in the league. I feel like there's a lot of offensive linemen this year that are just injured or missing pieces or moving guys around to different positions on that line. Another big thing is that defensive backs. The defense for the Bengals, I think, really struggled against the Commanders this past week. And I think Daniels just really proved that. As a rookie QB, dotting them up all over the field and having that nice rainbow throw over the top to
Terry McLaurin,
which was great. But I think that defense is definitely struggling. Obviously, you have some nice things in Cam Taylor-Britt, having some picks and having some stops and this, that, and the other. but it's going to be something to see what they do later this season. Anyway, continuing with the Bengals' struggles, there are many other teams who are also struggling. So, Caden, is your way too early Tank Bowl winner? Who is it?
I have the New York Giants. Now, I'm just going to be as frank as I possibly can about this team. They are terrible. The Giants don't win games. Their opponents lose them. And we saw that clearly last week with Cleveland. All the turnovers, the muffed kick, Deshaun Watson, who albeit had a decent game, relatively speaking, which is his first decent game in probably about 3 years now. But just this New York Giants team, they can't pass the ball, they can't run the ball, they can't defend. Their special teams, not all that great. Their coaching, Brian Dable, the only reason that team went to the playoffs that year is because no one realized Daniel Jones can run. Outside of that, this team has been terrible. They have the lowest winning percentage since 2017, and that includes the year where the Browns went 0-16. This team's just not good, and I feel like this is the year they finally bottom out and start all over again.
Well, then where do you put Malik Neighbors at then?
Malik Neighbors is insane. He is the one good part about this roster. Him and Dexter Lawrence whenever he's healthy. They're that image of the Bugatti in the rundown house. They just need something good to go this way. I mean, they hit a slam dunk on the Malik Neighbors selection so far, but I just feel like this team, they're miles below everyone else.
I can't agree.
And before I say mine, if you're not going to mention Kayvon Thibodeau as one of the top players for the Giants, just to stop talking, because he's a great player in this league, and hopefully that this Giants team can honestly expand and be a good football team, and obviously we can all see that then. But I'm picking the Titans. They're 0-3. The Giants at least have a win. Now, sure, was it against a team that's playing well right now? Absolutely not. The Cleveland Browns are not playing good right now, and that is, I'm a Browns fan saying that. But you have Will Levis as your quarterback, and no disrespect to him, he is not good. He is not a good quarterback for this league right now.
He also might be my favorite player to watch.
Because and he's at a 4 to 5 touchdown to turnover ratio. That's not good. And also, they're just not using their stars. They have Calvin Ridley. They have DeAndre Hopkins. Now, it might be a little bit on the tail end of his career. But when you have those two stars, you need to use them properly. And I don't think Levis is doing that. And I also want to finish with saying that their head coach Brian Callahan is not the right pick. They might be one of the worst firings in NFL history of letting Mike Vrabel go.
Wow. Now I can agree with that more. As for me, I have to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those guys, they are not turning it out to be, and especially with Trevor Lawrence. Someone has so much hope around him. He even has the stadium is named after him now for some reason.
Trevor Bank Stadium.
Yes, the Trevor Bank Stadium. I just don't see it happening. That offensive line is already so injured, just like every other team, and so we're going to see what they do. Anyway, moving on to my goof of the week. My goof of the week is all about one player. This week in the NFL is the Mayo Man himself, Will Levis. And these past 3 weeks, this second-year quarterback has made so many late-game mishaps and mistakes that it is pure comedy. In week 1, he threw a game-sealing pick to the Bears, and he decided to drop to his knees instead of run up and try to catch this man for a pick 6. In week 2, he decided to throw the ball while being horizontal mid-air. And in week 3, he did not even know, I don't even know what he was doing here. So, come on, Titans. What are we doing? And when is Mason Rudolph, the backup quarterback, going to come in? I mean, he lost to his backup in Malik Willis in Green Bay last week. What are we doing?
I mean, like I said, Will Levis might be my favorite player in the league to watch, just because he reminds me a bit of that Rex Grossman from the early 2000s Bears type of play. All deep or nothing, hilarious turnovers. It's something new and exciting to watch every week.
I definitely agree that he's like the modern Brett Favre, and I really cannot wait for week 4 to see what that photo is. Anyway, coming up, we will have Caden break down his NFL quarterback mountain right after this.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. As I said before, we're going to have Caden break down his quarterback mountain tier list. Caden, take it away.
All right, as you have called me our freshman football analyst, I have devised for us here a quarterback mountain that everyone can definitely agree upon and we all think is good. Starting at the bottom tier with our 5 quarterbacks, I got us some Joe Burrow, who's been decent this year, but not up to the standard of every other year. But then again, as Joey has said, this always happens to them. They start out bad and then continue. Jaden Daniels, which some might think is a hot take, but I have to consider that this Commanders offense under his watch has been lethally efficient. He may only have 2 touchdowns, but he is top 10 in the league in yards per attempt, top 5 in passer rating, and number 1 in throws that are completed above 30 yards. Continuing on, we have Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Going to kind of group them in here as the 2 quarterbacks who had their season ended by Achilles tears last year. Both of them shook off a little bit of rust in their first game, but have looked as a bit of their quarterbacks of old over the last couple of weeks. And then rounding out the bottom of the list, we have Matthew Stafford, who, without his top 2 weapons, has still looked like a decent quarterback, and I believe that's a bunch of credit we can give him. Moving up in the list to Tier 4 and Tier 3. At Tier 4, we have Geno Smith, who continues his career resurgence with the Seahawks. Baker Mayfield, who had a fantastic opening 2 games of the season, kind of tailed off a little bit against the Broncos. Same thing with Derek Carr, had a historic first 2 games, tailed off a little bit against the Eagles. Will we see them continue to cook, or will we see them be bad again? Who knows? We will find out. And then Jared Goff, who, continuing the theme of career resurgences, has turned into a whole new player in Detroit, and that continues into year 4 of his stint there. Next up, we have my probably favorite quarterback this year and my pick for MVP. We have Sam Darnold. All he needed was a good situation, a good defense, great weapons, and now we see the result of that. We have Dak Prescott, who no one can deny is a top at least 7 quarterback in the league. The only reason he gets so much hate is because he's on the biggest team in the country. If he was on like the Jacksonville Jaguars, people would be singing his praises a whole lot more. Then we have Brock Purdy. Yeah, maybe his entire offense revolves around him getting the ball out quick into short passes, but as we could see in that playoff game a couple of years ago when Josh Johnson came in, did not do very well. Not everyone can do it, and Brock Purdy so far has done it to the best of the Shanahan era. Now moving up to the top 2 tiers of the list, we have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, 2 quarterbacks that are fantastic coming out of the same draft class. I cannot put them in any order. I don't have Lamar over Josh, and I don't have Josh over Lamar. They're both fantastic quarterbacks who have put up mountains of stats, mountains of numbers. Lamar Jackson has a couple of MVPs, but they can't seem to get over the hump of the number 1 man and team on this list. That is Patrick Mahomes, who I believe is inarguably the best quarterback in the NFL.
Oh boy, Caden, where do I even start? First off, I mean, so the top of the list, I feel like we have to have Josh Allen. This man is proving why he should be the NFL MVP this season over Mahomes, over Lamar Jackson. In fact, I think he should have won NFL MVP over Lamar last year. Now, that's a whole other story. But I think he's definitely been the best quarterback this year over Mahomes, over Lamar, and I think that's proven in these first 3 weeks.
All right, who do you trust more to get through January? Do you trust Josh Allen, who hasn't made it past the AFC Championship game, or you trust a 3-time Super Bowl champion?
Hey, all I'm saying is I think it's just better coaching was in those situations. Now, I know Joey has something he needs to get off his chest about this list.
I don't even want to sit at this table right now anymore. If you look at that list, where is C.J. Stroud? He's nowhere to be found on that list. Now, I think that Jaden Daniels is kind of like in the place where Stroud was last year, shocked everyone that, okay, we got a rookie quarterback playing at a very high level. But I don't think that Jaden Daniels is there yet. I would move down Geno Smith to the 5th tier, Sam Darnold to the 4th, and bring C.J. Stroud up to the 3rd. I don't know what you were thinking about when you were thinking about top 15
If you think C.J. Stroud should be above Sam Darnold, what happened last week? Who put up 34 points? Who put up 7?
I believe that C.J. Stroud outplayed Sam Darnold, even though the team won. I think
with a better team, with a great offensive line, 4 or 5 top receivers, a good running game, and a decent defense. That can't be.
I disagree.
I disagree
the
Minnesota
completely.
Vikings.
I disagree completely.
Hey, I know that list is a little messed up. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think you're on the right track a little bit. Anyway, thank you for tuning into Sports Talk in the Burgh this week. We will see you next week for another debate on sports.